You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
Guys, this is our season opener of Zoom the TBT, and we are very happy and proud to have our first guest be the Court Street Kings of Ohio University. Mike, Jason, Ben, thank you for coming on. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing good, doing good. Excited to sit down and chat with you guys.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. So, Mike, I know that Ohio's had a team-less event before, the Ohio 1804. Can you talk about what led you to start this rebirth of the franchise, so to speak?
Yeah, so I would say honestly, the start of this was these two guys on this call right here between Jason and Ben. Jason and Ben have had this idea, I think, since their playing days, that they really wanted to be involved with this and eventually do this at some point. And, Ohio had a previous team, the 1804 team, like you mentioned. And we saw that in 2023, they were about to do it, and then due to some sort of circumstances, weren't able to. And then, kind of just how this kind of started and how it got about, during this season and kind of during the spring and summertime, like, it got talked about a little more and more. And then between JP and BVP and myself and others, like, that's kind of where the team just got started.
Yeah, Jason, it's always interesting seeing these schools get in because what I always like about TBT, as a fan of it for a long time, I've been following since it very much started. This is our sixth season. I always like that the smaller schools get a lot of shine because the reality is everybody knows about the Dukes and the UNCs, and it's always interesting to see like a MAC school get some shine. So, Jason, can you tell me a little bit about what it means to wear the Ohio uniform again, even if it is sort of a sort of a Timu version, sort of a slightly bastardized version? What does it mean to play for the school again as a graduate?
Yeah, I mean, it's everything, that school was a big part of my life, big part of who I am as a person. I still got a lot of connections to a lot of people over there. I spent a lot of time there this past year, actually broadcasting a little bit. So I mean, it's a huge part in my personal development, and I'm just glad that I have another opportunity to represent it. I mean, it's awesome.
I want to have JP for a minute 'cause you just said broadcasting. Were you doing color coordination for the ESPN Blush broadcasts?
Yes, I
What's
was.
that like? I always wonder because a lot of former players who are and you're a current player, so don't let me by the way say I know you had an injury, so we're not saying former player, we're saying current player in your case. But a lot of guys who are around the sports get started on the sort of the home team calls on ESPN Plus. How did it feel calling games for your team this year?
It's always something you're watching on TV and you see people doing. You're like, I want to give my own opinion, or I feel like I could do a better job at it, per se. But it's definitely. I did like 3 games. It was definitely a humbling experience. I really liked it. You get to know the preparation that these guys do beforehand and how things are set up and all the behind the scenes things that go along with it. But definitely a fun experience. Definitely something I would have to consider doing, like you said, when I'm finished playing.
Which we're not even close to, obviously. We got a while to go for that.
Yeah.
Ben, do you know Jason to be an opinionated guy, or is he a bashful type? How's that work?
I feel like he's definitely very opinionated. We used to get in some arguments about some just random sports takes, things like that. Yeah, he lets his opinions be known. We had some great talks in car rides, bus rides, hotel rooms, things like that. Some good heated arguments. But it was always fun. So yeah, he's definitely an opinionated guy.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. You talk about point guards having opinions. I always found the point guards have a lot of opinions, and you kind of have to agree because if you want to see the ball, you better be on their good side.
Oh man,
Like,
yeah.
oh, you think what? I'm going to pass this way instead. Not to you. No, never mind. That's
Got to
pretty
stay on
funny.
his good side.
Got to stay on the guy's got the ball. He got to stay on his good side. Mike, get into that a little bit about like sort of joking about point guard distribution, but like, how does the Court Street Kings want to attack the TBD? How do you guys want to play? Like, what would a fan of the event who may not be familiar with how Ohio's DNA as a program is, what can they expect watching Court Street play?
Honestly, probably the two biggest things is one, we got a lot of guys on this roster and soon to be on this roster that are, still playing currently and are very fresh, young dudes. So, we're trying to play fast, play out in transition, press a little bit, whatnot. So we're going to probably speed up the tempo. And then number two, like the chemistry of these guys. I mean, between, JP, BVP, and some other players, like every single one of them have somehow played with each other at least 2 to 3 years. So, and then they're fresh off playing with each other. So I think chemistry is going to be a huge thing.
Yeah, going back to Ben on that one, since the chemistry is the key thing, you guys played a lot of the same sort of stuff for the same coach and the same program. Does that make those crunch time plays in an event like TBT where practice time is at a premium? Does the camaraderie and the sort of the ready-made chemistry of having the experience together over the summer, in season games, out of season, going back to campus, does that really help build a short form of how to play in a crunch time situation?
100%.
Absolutely.
Oh, go
Oh,
ahead,
sorry.
man.
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, good.
I was gonna say absolutely. Like just situations where, yeah, you might not have gone through it in practice or things like that. Just like, especially with a guy like Jay, I've played with him for I played with him for a lot of years. We spent a lot of time together off the court, working out, just like all the things. So, especially with him being the point guard, just like knowing where I need to be, other guys in the team knowing like what he's thinking, what he's looking for specific cuts or whatever it be, just being in the right spots and just trusting each other. I feel like trust is going to be a big thing because, yeah, not going to have a ton of practice time, but just thinking back to the old times being on the court together and just playing with confidence in each other. I think that's going to be a big piece.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the biggest advantage all alumni teams have is their built-in chemistry, their built-in shared experiences together. So, Jason, since you're going to be the trigger man, since you're the guy distributing the ball, what are you looking for people not to fumble your passes? Like, how do you see it from the head of the snake perspective? What are you guys trying to run?
Yeah, like kind of like what Mike was saying. I feel like we're gonna play pretty fast, and I think there's, I am the point guard, and I do have a responsibility to get guys where they need to go. But I feel like we have a lot of talent where I feel like we could just play very naturally, like within the flow of things. We won't necessarily have to run a lot of sets, and like Mike said, we'll probably be one of the younger, fresher teams. So late game when we really need to organize some things, we can do that. But I feel like ultimately, just our IQ and chemistry will take over there.
Definitely, definitely. It's really interesting to see how these teams can, and also I think honestly, the mid majors have a huge advantage because a lot of their players are playing at the European level as opposed to maybe like a UNC might have more guys in the league. So you get the best a lot of time for this event. And not only that, you're used to playing with a chip on your shoulder. So TBT is ready made for a mid-major player. I think you guys have a huge, I mean, we saw North Texas almost win it a couple of years ago. We saw Marshall get real close. We've seen a lot of the smaller schools. We saw Buffalo win this
Yeah,
event. So definitely we've seen a MAC team win this before. In fact, Buffalo won it. So I mean, we've seen teams that are mids win this. So there's a huge advantage to kind of sneaking up on people and saying, yeah, you remember me, right? So
yeah.
speaking to that, Mike, like the recruiting of this team, how's it going so far? So how is the roster taking shape?
So far, so good. So I think we are up to 6 or 7 players now.
That's a
And
lot at this point in the
Seven.
cycle. That's a lot
seven.
at this point in the cycle. Yeah.
And honestly, it's due to the connections that each and every one of us have. I mean, between like the guys that have played on the Ohio teams of before, and between the connections that, JP's had with his teams that he's played with in the NBA and BVP's, former teams as well. Like that's kind of how we kind of build and shape in the roster. But I think the biggest thing is, like you said, is the chemistry and the camaraderie of each guys. Guys that, are in it for the right reasons, that, want to win, want to play with each other and have, a really good experience.
Definitely. Ben, you guys, we were talking about this a little bit before we started taping. You guys are really close to you guys are going to be playing in Charleston, West Virginia. That's the region you guys have chosen, which would be interesting because obviously you'll have to go through. I think JMU's playing there, I believe, either there or Virginia. You're also going to have obviously the best Virginia. More than likely, heard that will get in. They haven't really gotten public yet, but there's every suspicion John Elmore's boys will come back with DeAndre Kane. How are we going to get some of these guys to make the 90-minute trip from Athens to West Virginia? How can we get these guys out there?
It's like you said, it's only 90 minutes. It's a pretty reasonable drive for some people to get there. But just like seeing the support that we've gotten on social media on a couple of our accounts and the people who have donated and stuff like that, so it seems like the Athens community, the Ohio University community are pretty bought into what we're doing, pretty excited about it. So just continuing to do what we are and preparing for this and seeing making sure that they see that that we're going in with the mindset to win, to compete, and to have fun. So just give them more reasons to want to come watch us again, and hopefully we get some people turned out in West Virginia.
Definitely, it should be a good crowd. Speaking of that, Jason, I know a lot of players love the fact that boos from the road team read like cheers when you're playing, right? So it's well known the TBT's model this year is to try to get the home teams to buy tickets to make a sort of a home court advantage throughout, which is a very good way to juice the gate, but also a very way to ensure some extremely partisan crowds. The ticket sales have started. We're taping this on May 5th. So obviously different schools are really pumping out their fan bases. So it's highly likely you're going to face somewhere between 3,000 to 6,000 partisan fans if you advance far enough in the bracket. So how much would you enjoy telling the guys of West Virginia to shut up if you guys play well enough?
Man, that'd be awesome. Having that great atmosphere. I mean, that'd be incredible. And I think a lot of it has to do, with the preparation. We're gonna go into it. It's a win or go home event, so and every team's different. So we'll be well prepared. We'll watch a ton of film beforehand, and we'll play certain teams different. We'll adjust depending on who we're facing and what we need to do. So I feel like no matter who we play, no matter what the crowd, we'll be well prepared.
Yeah, I mean it's a city that's got a big chip on the shoulder. I haven't been to Charleston a couple times, so it's an interesting place to play. Mike, this cycle is very challenging for the GM sect because TBT has made the decision, which there's positives and negatives, to make a $15,000 entry fee, which last year I believe it was 10, and before that was just if you were qualified to play, you play. So it went from 0 to 10 to 15 in a few years. We won't debate or talk about the wisdom of that. It's not my event, it's not my playground, so I don't really critique people. I don't pocket watch; it's not my place. But has that presented a larger challenge than maybe previous TBT teams have had to face?
I'll be honest with you, not really, because at the end of the day, we're not the only team that has to do that in a sense. We're not the only mid-major team or any other, I guess, quote unquote, smaller level program that has to deal with that challenges. I think everybody, has to deal with that. And, going into it, we were very prepared of how we were going to attack, the certain sponsorships and talk to certain people of how to raise the money. And, I think we've done a really good job so far of raising that and continue to raise that to give, the best experience for these guys. Because, at the end of the day, like, you don't want to go, if you're going to go in, you got to go all in. And, we're trying to make that experience as much of a professional experience as possible to give these guys, another chance of playing in that uniform again and playing with each other to create, more memories.
Are you guys going to have a training camp, like a get ready, get reacquainted a couple days prior to the event?
Yes. So currently we're in discussions for two different locations. We're probably going to do a 3 to 5 day training camp. And then luckily for us, wherever this training camp is, it's a very close drive to Charleston, being in Ohio. So, we're really excited about that.
Yeah, I've always found the logistics of this because I'm an architect professionally, so the thing I always find the logistics of this event always crack me up. I'm like, so you have to get like 8 to 12 high level athletes housed, fed. God knows how much you guys eat. You guys have metabolisms of gods, obviously, so you guys are eating probably 5,000 calories a day, which alone is probably what a hotel room costs. I always find the whole thing kind of hilarious. Like, okay, I have to feed and house these high level athletes. I'm like, oh my God, like the feeding alone, never mind the housing for a minute. You guys must burn literally tons of calories. So if you guys are going to play as fast as you say. Um, so Ben, like, what is basically the thing people should take away as fans of this team? Like, obviously, a lot of people who follow TBT don't have a team, right? So there's a lot of neutrals who watch us go, like, I'm a Memphis fan. I'm a University of Memphis fan, have my whole life. They haven't run the last couple of years for a variety of reasons. They probably won't run this year. So I'm a neutral. I don't really have a dog in the fight. So for people like me, why should people root for the Court Street Kings of Ohio?
Yeah, I think we've touched on it a little bit. I think just the age of all the guys that we got, we're going to be a younger team. All of us are still in early in our playing careers professionally. So just the tempo, the type of basketball we want to play, we're just going to try to make it fun to watch. Probably going to shoot a lot of threes. Get up and down the court, just play really, really hard the whole time. And like Jay said a little bit earlier, it's win or go home. So we're going to come with that mindset of like, it's now or never, and we'll just keep pushing, the whole game, every single game that we're in. So I think all those pieces together is going to put together a really, really fun style of basketball.
Makes sense. That's a pretty compelling pitch, to be honest with you, honestly. Um, Jason, you said yourself that this year you had a season-ending injury in your first game of the season, basically. So first of all, can you tell us the extent of the injury and how the progress is coming for you to get back on the court for TBT?
Yeah, it was a torn calf. It was a freak injury. I was literally off a made basket from another team. I was dribbling the ball up the court. Felt a pop in my lower leg area. Um, Initially when it happened, I thought it was Achilles because that's how everyone describes Achilles injuries. But thankfully, it was not. Basically, just a really bad tear in the calf. But that was around what, November, and yeah, I've been rehabbing over at Ohio State. That's actually where this whole idea formulated because I was working out with other pros there as well, and they were wearing the TBT gear. We got to talking about it, and then I ended up talking to Ben. But anyways, all these months, yeah, I've been rehabbing. I've been working. I've been playing basketball over there too. So I'm good. I'm all good right now.
Jets are ready to rock.
I'm ready. We're
Okay.
ready.
We're ready. All of you are ready. Fine. Hey, I'm ready to roll too. I'm pretty excited. This will be a fun event. I mean, I think it's year 11 now, which is kind of crazy. If year 11 or 12 at this point, they've gotten through this. It's funny you guys say you're all a young team. I'm looking at the cameras. I'm like, I really need to work on my facial cream process here. This is getting. You guys are all good-looking young men. I look like a guy who's been working for 25 years, which is unfortunately accurate. So, Mike, you got the players mostly locked and loaded. The people you haven't signed yet, you got the lines on. You got the funding there. How can your fan base help you further? Like, what do you need from your fans to get you over the top at this point?
Yeah, so I mean, we've been blasting out a lot of tweets on Instagram, and we have our GoFundMe page, which will be included, on our page. It's on our Twitter and Instagram page. And I think the biggest thing besides that, we're still looking for a couple main sponsors, anybody interested besides not just in the local community, but nationally as well. That just feels like supporting a TBT team, with the type of, guys that we have and, what our message is and whatnot. Whether, you want to have a sponsor, like if you want to be on our jersey as a jersey patch or, being on that uniform, we can make anything work. So we're still looking for a couple sponsors. And then at the end of the day, it's just the support of the alumni base, people that do support the TBT to just support this team with the guys that we have.
Mike, who's your most famous alum at the university? I'm curious. Like, who's the big money bag person from Ohio?
Ooh, man.
Good question. I don't
Okay.
know.
It is a good, no, it is a good
We're-
question.
Is Jake Paul up there?
Who?
Who?
Is Jake Paul up there?
Yeah,
Is Jake Paul an Ohio
Logan Paul
alum?
and Jake Paul went to OU.
Oh my God. So you really just we need to get in touch with him. Jake Paul needs to, I mean, Jake Paul also spends money on things. So, I mean, you guys could get him a jersey. He'd be your 13th man and help fund the. So Jake Paul, if you're listening, which I'm sure you're not, but if you are, if somebody clips this smartly and says Jake Paul should fund Court Street Kings so they can have a nice bankroll to go win your alumni group some money, that's what you should do, Jake Paul, with your Tyson winnings, I guess. That's pretty weird. All right. Ben, make the pitch. Let's close with you. Make the pitch. Why should people come to watch you guys? Like what they're coming? Tell your fan base when it is, where to come. Let's just close with that. Like let's tell them where to buy tickets, where to come, the whole thing.
So July 18th, Charleston, West Virginia. That's where we're going to be playing. And I would just say to all the OU fans out there, you guys got to come watch us. We're going to have a lot of familiar faces. JP and I, a couple other recent Bobcats off of some really, really good teams that you guys love cheering for in the convo, in the MAC tournament, all things like that. So I would just say, go get your tickets on the TBT website and come support us down in West Virginia. It's gonna be fun.
Jason, was that good enough to pass them the ball a couple of times?
Yeah, I thought that was good, man. Yeah, we're gonna be fun. We're gonna play defense. We're gonna adjust to any team. We're gonna play any style necessary. We're gonna be together. I mean, I don't see why somebody wouldn't want to watch or wouldn't have fun watching it. So,
Makes sense to me. Charleston, West Virginia, the place to be to watch the Court Street Kings. You got to watch them. They're going to be fun. They're going to be fast. Dumb and young and very, very fast. Jason, Ben, Mike, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate you kicking off the season with me. And this has been Hayner for Charge Hayner present Zoom the TBT. And we are, as always, signing off.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.